Today we're repairing a tabletop by cutting it in half. I'm repairing this table, refinishing it and stuff, and this leaf has a big crack in it, you can see, split here. So what happened here, these battens are screwed in to make sure that this tabletop stays flat. However, there's no room for expansion and contraction across this because it's fixed here and it's fixed at a hard point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this part down along this line, glue it back together, and then when I put these battens back in, I'm going to oval out this side here and leave this side fixed hard. That allows for there to be some expansion and contraction, but the batten still holds the tabletop flat. We have a glue ready cut all the way down there. Blade wasn't quite wide enough to get that, so I think we'll clean that up with a hand plane. So in hand planing, you want to be careful about your grain direction, because if you're going the wrong way, you'll tear out. It's like a bunch of straws, right? So if you have a bunch of straws sticking this way, if you have a bunch of straws sticking this way and the plane is coming like this, it'll lift them up. Whereas if it's coming like this, it'll cut them off. That makes sense? So you can see on this one, the grain has a tendency to be running out of the board like that. So coming from this way with the plane will make a nice clean cut. Shaving, getting wider and wider. You want a full width and full length shaving all the way along. When you check for square, and just for the fun of it, we're going to put a precision straight edge along here. There's no gap. So that is what we call a glue ready surface. Let's take it over there and we'll get it glued together. I'm going to do a quick dry assembly here just to check for any problems. And we'll clamp that up. You don't want a ton of pressure. Squeeze too much, you can cause problems too. So yeah, not cranking it up at all, and that's pretty much closed up our joint. Show you here. Get some glue on it. That's pretty much the perfect amount of squeeze out. Just enough to know that you've got glue across the whole joint. Maybe a little bit much here. I'm happy with that. Now we'll let the glue cure up for about 15-20 minutes, and I'll come along and I'll scrape it off. I'm going to give this a quick run over with some sandpaper to denib it and put another coat on that. One of the things I like about shellac is how fast it dries. So you can do multiple coats in a single day. And given that this is an antique table, the original finish on it was shellac, so it kind of burns into itself anyway. That's why I'm redoing it with shellac again. It's also going into a house that they don't drink, so there's no risk of alcohol getting dumped on it either. That's a nice looking tabletop if you ask me. So a couple tips using shellac. I mean, I'm not a finishing expert, so take these with a grain of salt. These are just my experiences. First of all, if you're using pre-mixed shellac, like this Zinsser stuff here, get yourself some denatured alcohol, or if you're in Canada, this bioethanol stuff. This is camp fuel from Canadian Tire. If you can get denatured alcohol, or even pure alcohol if you want to use it, cut the stuff in half. I put half alcohol in a jar and half of that. So I'm not sure what the actual cut is for that. If you're using flakes, I haven't used flakes, so I don't know the exact ratio of the cut for that, but yeah, thin it down. That's number one. Thin it down. Number two, don't worry what it looks like at first. Like this here, you see it's a little bit bumpy and not very even. That's only the second coat, or maybe this is the third coat. But look at this side here. You got a nice even, so it's built up enough on this side to give you a nice flat surface. It's going to start off looking like crap, but just, you know, as long as you're keeping it nice and even, and don't work over the area again. Like don't mess around with it. Put your coat down and then walk away. Come back, give it a light sand, put another coat down, and then walk away. Don't mess with it. Don't try to fix it. Just keep working on it, and it'll even out and it'll smooth out and it'll look great. Because it's an alcohol-based thinner, and because it's shellac, it's not like polyurethane. It will burn into itself. It'll all become one unified thing. You don't have to stress about it. It'll look fine. I hope that's helpful.